All right, call to order with the Town of Cedar Point Planning Board meeting, April 1st, 2025. Happy April all. We'll do a roll call. TJ Williams.
Here.
Michael Castellano.
Here.
Joe Morello.
Here.
Phil Davis.
Here.
Brad Smith.
Here.
We have one item of business today, commercial site plan review for Riptide Car Wash. Dave, do you want to pull up the info?
Yep. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen for the
And at some point, either before or during, if you wouldn't mind reminding us. I know in the last several months, we've had some proposed changes to the UDO for car washes and decisions of whether they are special use or permitted by right in certain zones. I know we've made recommendations, but what was the final outcome from the Board of Commissioners on those topics?
Okay.
Whenever it's appropriate.
all right. Yeah, so in your packet, you do have the zoning permit application information, all the contact, current property owner, proposed use. And then the application itself, there are some line drawings and then some renderings that were included in your packet. There have been some minor changes to that. The applicant is here. We'll go over those in a minute. They have a presentation for you on the architectural side of it. The Board of Commissioners did approve the proposed use, the text amendment for the use, pretty much with the proposed language that was provided, with the exception of changing the hours of operation. I'd have to look back at what those were. I don't remember right offhand, but and making it permitted by right, so not a special use permit.
Okay.
So it'd be
7 to 9 or something.
I'm sorry.
7 to 9.
That's correct. 9 p.m.
Yeah, 7 in the morning, 9 p.m. at night.
Is it? I'm sorry. Was it permitted in right by in both B1 and B3 or just B3?
Just B3.
Just B3.
So as we get into the larger site plan packet here, you have all the content of detailed information there, but this site here just shows you what needs to be demolished on the property. A little bit more, and then you start getting into some of your contours of the property. Let's start zooming in here a little bit for you. One thing that you will notice, this driveway, as shown, and some things you may or may not have picked up on, this driveway as shown is actually on the adjoining property. I'm assuming that's with the consent of the new owner.
Yes.
You are aware that it just traded hands in the last.
I was unaware that they closed, but we.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's some relationship there to the previous developer. So this is shown, it is something that is recommended in our UDO within the Central Business Overlay District, that when there are developments taking place beside each other, that we try to use a single driveway for accessing two properties.
Is that? I'm sorry. Is that the Tractor Supply lot, or is there a lot in between?
In between.
So there's actually a lot in between.
Okay.
I'll pull up the GIS over here so maybe you can see it. This is the property at issue, and then there's a tract here behind it, and then Tractor Supply behind it. So this one just sold March 14th, so 2 weeks ago. Did find out they have no immediate plans to develop that property, just so you know. Just investing in commercial real estate for now. So the driveway as shown on here would be just north of this property line right here, shared driveway. So you have your only entrance on and off the property is coming off Old Highway 58. There is no entrance off of Cedar Point Boulevard or along this eastern boundary, which is Old Highway 58. So entrance comes in, you'll feed all the way towards the east side of the property where there's stacking for 2 lanes of traffic, narrowing down into 1. Those that just want to vacuum their cars and stuff can avoid the car wash, it appears, and then you have 1 lane of traffic going through. And then they can come in here and do all their cleanup.
And they can turn around in there?
I'm sorry?
They can turn around in the vacuum area?
Yes, that's certainly wide enough.
Okay.
Should be. So 64 is what we generally plan for, and they're actually showing 66 feet, so a couple extra feet. More than what I've seen in other back-to-back parking spaces like that. Parking spaces are 13 feet wide on that side and 12 and a half on this side. Looks like a couple right there are actually 14 feet wide. So nice wide parking spaces on either side. There is a pay station right here, little kiosk, and the vacuum equipment is sitting in these three areas, the actual vacuum mechanism, if you will, behind these three walls, so help protect from the sound barrier. We do show, they are showing the setbacks, not on this one. There was another one. We'll come to it, but they are showing the setbacks meeting the town standards. Here's your stormwater design. And at any point, if you have any questions, just certainly ask me. You will not find a stormwater pond on this site, and the reason for that, if you'll recall, when they developed the subdivision as a whole, it's actually all tied in together to go to this little pond and then ultimately to this larger one. So that's why you don't see a stormwater pond on the site. You do have the septic area and equipment.
The septic is a leach, there's a leach field associated with that.
I'm not exactly sure what type of septic system they would be using for that.
But
The septic system is still under design right now, so.
yeah, probably maybe the question I really wanted to ask, ahead of myself a little bit, but I'll ask anyways, is that in addition to the stormwater permitting, is there any other environmental permitting is required? My presumption is you're washing detergents into a septic system, and I don't know where that wastewater goes after it goes into the septic system.
This is actually gonna have a reclaimed irrigation system on it.
Okay,
So all the water, you'll see in the driveway there, you've got those 4 tanks. Those tanks are gonna take the water that is expelled from the car wash that isn't recycled, and it's gonna work its way through those tanks, similar to a septic system.
right.
It's going to clean that water, and that's what's gonna be used in the reclaimed irrigation system. So the only thing that's gonna go to the septic field is gonna be the 2 bathrooms and the sinks.
Okay. So you're containing the detergent runoff or whatever.
Yeah.
Just for clarification on this particular page, that septic area and equipment refers to septic equipment, right? Just the infrastructure itself, or are there any plans to put any other kind of equipment?
So currently the plan is that there's been an area, catty corner across the street that the seller has already had tested for septic and it's suitable soils. So that's likely where the septic drain field will be located. So this would be kind of your septic tanks, and then it would be pumped out to that field.
Okay, I guess to clarify the question, then, will there be anything above grade, any kind of equipment of that area? Okay. All right, one thing highlight on here, in case you didn't see it on the other one, this is the dumpster location back here at the back. It will be enclosed, and the plans did point out that it would be with materials that's similar to the building. Any questions or thoughts as we get through, just feel free to ask them. As far as the different permits that they will need, so there will have to be something from the health department showing that there is suitable septic for the facility before we can sign off on it and give them a zoning permit. They will need most likely a sedimentation erosion control permit as well as at least a statement as to their compliance with their state stormwater permit, since the whole subdivision is permitted. Those would be the kind of approvals we would be looking for outside of the town, as well as DOT's approval on the combined driveway. There. That would be it. So here's the landscaping drawing. You'll see here, you've got a 15-foot street yard buffer down Old Highway 58, as well as down Cedar Point Boulevard. They are showing, you've got the schedule of trees down here, some trident maples, some crepe myrtles, abelias and hydrangeas in the different locations. So out here on the road frontage, you're looking at your crepe myrtles and the trident maples. In this particular area here, if you'll recall the language from before on a car wash, it included on the outbound side of any tunnel that there would be an additional 10 feet of trees. So that's why you see that kind of a few more trees in that area to add some additional sound buffer there. So that's 35 feet wide. Along the rear, you do have a type A buffer based on the use of the property. Now on this side, it's shown as a type A. After looking at it and speaking with the applicant just before the meeting, something that actually Alicia caught, when we approved the tractor supply company, we treated that side as a street yard as well, because technically it does adjoin a right of way. It is still wooded at this point in time. The anticipation is that at some point, those trees will likely all be cut down, and then that becomes a street side, an exposed street side. So I mentioned to the applicants that it may be that this needs to be converted to a street yard as well, rather than a buffer. It results in more larger trees, but a lot less smaller trees.
So that's if like we widen 58 or something.
Yes, that would be if DOT ever
Decide to
decided
widen that and make it, God will help us if they do. Okay.
decide to widen it, or if they alternatively allow tractor supply company to keep cutting down trees. Since they cleared out quite a few of them that were in there before. So from a truly technical standpoint, that should be a street yard buffer instead of a type A. And applicant indicated that wouldn't be a problem with them. There would be some areas like around the billboard where they couldn't put one in front of the billboard, of course. But the requirement is a certain number based on the overall length of the property, not a specific spacing on the property. So they could, put them a little tighter as they went further back to accommodate, that area. And I encouraged them to continue putting some sort of bushes or trees underneath that signpost just to give something that corner would be nice. And I wasn't familiar with the trident maple. I don't know if you all are. Very nice looking tree when I looked it up. Turns red, provides some color in there. But that's the basic gist of the layout. You will see. Let me go back up to this other drawing. You will see some sidewalks and stuff around in this area. You have a number of exterior doors. Two car doors, only one on either end of the tunnel.
All of the specifications or restrictions that we had suggested and got approved for car washes, I don't remember them all. This meets all of those criteria.
Yes.
There was some discussion about possibly having vending machines outside. Is that going to be part of this plan at all? No.
Signage. Maybe I missed it. I just looked, there's any signage out there.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on the signage issue at all.
What do you mean?
Do you know what the plans would be for signage on the building or property?
There'll be some signage on the building, and then the freestanding, there'll be a monument sign.
But that's not shown anywhere, is it?
Right, that's right, yeah, I just didn't see one. Maybe I missed it, but I just didn't see it. I'm looking for where would the signage be in relation to this and meet the seal.
Yeah, it's not a absolute requirement that it be on here. I mean,
Yeah,
when somebody
I was just wondering.
applies for a sign permit, we have to
Yeah.
make sure it meets.
They have to comply with. The other question I would have is,
The sign will be permanent, it's permanent by the different group. They have their own sign company that handles it.
Okay, I just didn't know if you had any knowledge of where the proposed sign would, like a freestanding sign would be on the property.
At this point, I don't, but I can get that information pretty quickly for you.
Okay,
but yeah, just as long as it complies with our. The only thing is there any impact on this, any future road changes as far as where the red lights are, if 058 changes, there's no impact?
no, there's no impact. There's no impact to that. I mean, it doesn't impact, it doesn't impact us.
Right,
It impacts them a little bit.
okay.
In that, let me pull up my GIS here. So here's the existing, old Highway 58. My understanding is that before this parcel here is developed, and depending on how these two parcels back here are developed, DOT would be requiring the relocation of the traffic
To the other
light
side of the bank.
to the other side of the bank. And I actually took the survey drawing plat for that and overlaid it onto this so that I could show it. So that's where the relocated old Highway 58 would be.
Cause they'll block it off that intersection, right?
So it would not block off the intersection. This is actually shown on there. They put a triangle out on either side here so that you would have a right in, right out only.
Mhm.
Okay.
So access
It'd still be.
out of the
still-
car wash, you could go, you could go out towards Swansboro, or you could come up here. And they may actually cut it directly across here.
Okay,
I'm not sure, but yeah, that wouldn't, those changes would not
Not
impact
okay.
how the
I mean,
property's developed.
There's more than any businesses on there, okay, okay, I just wondered, okay. So
This is in our business overlay district, correct?
Yes,
So their exterior building finishes and stuff, they look pretty nice. They all meet the criteria.
yeah, I didn't see anything contrary to that, but they are here to speak to the architectural stuff. They've got a presentation for you on that. Whenever you're ready.
Anybody have any objection moving into that?
Yes.
Not right. Let's do it.
So I'll pull this over.
Follow along. Perfect. All right, well, my name's Matt Taggart with Rutz and Companies. We're the developer representing the Riptide Car Wash. I appreciate everybody taking the time tonight to go through all of this. And I mean, based on what I heard before I came up here, we'll not waste anybody's time and just move through this pretty quickly. But I did want to put together a presentation kind of with what's in the UDO and how we're addressing those items on there. So first point in there is use designs that contribute to a human scale. Then there's a few elements along that where try to avoid large blank walls, large expanses of blank walls, oversized design elements, and again, including that human element as well. I don't think it's reaching. I'll let you do it.
It is, it's on the wrong screen.
Yeah, sorry.
Right over there.
So you'll see on there, the walls are all broken up to avoid the large expanses. You got the stacked stone pillars. The CMU, the split face CMU on there as well. And then that oversized design elements are avoided that way. For the human scale elements, you have the windows, the doors, the knee walls, and the columns. That kind of shrinks everything down to make it feel like a more human-sized element there. Moving into C, it says provide attractive facade treatments. I won't go too far into that, but we feel that with this design, it meets the spirit of the UDO there. All of these sides, to some degree, will be visible from all the roads from Cedar Point Boulevard and Old Highway 58. So make sure every side is addressed there. We'll pass that on. And then when making transitions between developments, we do feel that this captures the area. You've got, the Bojangles and Tractor Supply, which are their prototypical designs. The colors we feel blend in really nicely with everything around and tie into the surrounding developments. And then you'll see here on the next slide, the sloped roof, the metal, the standing seam metal roof ties into everything else around there. Man, keep going. So the next one is strive for designs. Strive for designs and materials that reflect the architectural traditions. So what we've done on our design and materials is we've done the standing seam metal roof, stacked natural stone elements, the EFA siding material, there's the large faux windows, and then the split CMU, and then there's a barge coat at the top. That's a cementitious, I hate that word, cementitious mortar that's spread up there. So we believe these elements, they blend well with the surrounding developments and do reflect the spirit of the UDO. So then onto the roof forms, complement the building design. Goes into articulated roof adds the visual interest. Steeper forms are associated with a more traditional design. Kind of go into what we're going to be looking at when you're looking down the barrel of this thing. So you're going to have the buildings, the slope building coming that way. You'll have the canopy that's going to help break up those roof elements. And then you'll see the wire drawing at the bottom of that. So that's what you'll have on the top of that canopy is going to be a matching standing seam metal roof that will match the building. And then the posts coming down will be black posts. So it moves into H, talking about, different techniques and architectural details. And again, going back to that human scale and the character of the architecture. So you can see the foundations are highlighted. You've got the split face CMU, knee wall that wraps around the edge of the tunnel there. You've got the highlighted sills around the windows. You got the floor to ceiling stacked stone pillars. And these are all techniques that we think are bringing the building down to a human scale and addressing those points from the UDO. So then it goes into the choice of materials and textures and how that has great visual significance. It goes into talking about what, choosing certain materials so you're not having that monotonous surface. You want to have that blend and break it all up. Going into choosing the roof materials, contributing to the texture and patterns and color. And then it talks about standing seam metal roofs, gives it that traditional feel. And then making sure that the materials are all consistent on all sides of the building. So with the multiple architectural elements, we've blended to give character where the transitions take place from the split face CMU, stacked stone, barge coat, and the EFIS. Split face CMU and stacked stone do create depth to avoid the monotonous surfaces. The EFIS also creates texture and a visual interest there. The standing seam metal roof gives it that traditional feel. So then moving into the color. So this is kind of where a lot of those changes have softened in our design as we've softened a lot of those colors. And we feel that, again, the blend of the colors blends in well with the area around it, the developments around it. So you'll see here the different different developments that are around the site and how those colors, nothing is jarring, it blends well with everything, even that wonderful bright orange from Bojangles. I think it will help soften that a little bit. So yeah, this is just showing those colors again and how we've tried to limit those number of color choices. And then as we've separated those choices out, we've tried to keep them very complementary of each other, but still being a little bit different with those, the grays and the blues there. So just want to finish it off with the elevations that you've all seen before. I do want to thank David for helping us really understand the spirit of the UDO on this and make sure we get a product that works for the town and works for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions, concerns about that? Oh. Go ahead.
I've got one, I don't have to go now, it's not really about the architecture.
Yeah, well, we'll just go down the line, sure.
So I guess my question is, looking back at the parking lot diagram, I don't know if anybody's done like a throughput analysis of how many vehicles you expect to go through there at peak times.
So their anticipated average daily use is going to be 300 cars.
So my thought is, I don't know how many can line up in the chute. So from observing these at other places, it looks like they're gonna come in from Old 58 and then come down, but the only exit is almost immediately adjacent to the road. So if the place is full and you have people backed out all the way to 58, you're gonna have someone trying to get out to turn left across the people trying to come in. And I don't know what the visibility with the landscaping there is, but was that taken into account in the planning or?
Yeah, so they would love to have cars wrapped around the block like that, but it doesn't happen like that. And they do have guys manning the pay stations to help move traffic through, get them into the tunnel faster and process the cars that way. And that was one of the reasons why we put the entrance at the far side, was to avoid that potential backup at 58.
You're looking at least 26, 27 or more cars in queue.
And again, I don't know what it normally is. I just know from watching these anecdotally in other places, anticipating a lot of people coming in for the summer, beach people, they're not going to be regular customers, which means they're going to have to run their credit card at the machine. I don't know if you're going to have like a license plate reader like some of the other ones do, but they're going to be fumbling around. It's going to take them forever to pay. Things will back up. And that was my only concern, is that someone's going to be in a hurry to get somewhere, come out of there, be trying to turn left. And you got someone trying to beat someone from someone else coming in, and there's not a lot of visibility in that corner right there. So, I mean, that's just a thought.
And Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's something the DOT takes into account when they review this entrance as well.
Right, and kind of follow up and piggyback on what you said, we did want the queuing lane as far away from Highway 58 as possible. That's something we've heard from DOTs in the past, is stacking, we just wanted away, so that's what we tried to accomplish with this site plan. So I think we easily have, like David was saying, 25, 30 car easily queue on the site before you become supposed to get into Highway 98. Highway 58, sorry.
Is there, what's the escape path? So I'm going to get a car wash. I pull in off of Old 58, start going down this road, and now realize there's 20 cars in line. I don't have time to wait for this. I know in other ones, there's always a way to just continue on and find another exit. In this case, I guess you would be making a U-turn and turning around on that little side street.
Do you want to address the road sizing?
You're saying if someone comes in Highway 58.
They've already turned off Highway 50. They basically turned into this road that's depicted there, but then they realize there's 10, 15 cars ahead of me. I can't wait for this.
I got two-part answers to that. One, someone is going to develop between us and Tractor Supply, so there will be parking there. And transportation pattern. Short term, if someone were to do that, I would say they could pull in where the dumpster is and they could 3-point turn. Pretty easily. The road there is 24 feet. I mean, you could make a first turn, it would be easy, but I doubt people would do that. But again, they could pull where the dumpster is. That would be the easiest place to make that move. Another thing I will point out, if someone does come into the site, they realize my truck's too big or whatever reason they can't get a car wash, we do have that escape lane so they can't get out.
You have to go through the
They don't
gate
have to go
there.
through the building, they can go around through the parking, come out that way, so we try to accommodate that. That happens, anything.
And in all reality, if somebody got onto this road right here, until this is developed, there's no curb and gutter down through here.
Right.
So most likely they're just gonna pull off into the grass and make a turn there until that's developed, at which point I suspect there would be some sort of curb and gutter with entrances, most likely, or open parking lot, depending on how they develop, I don't know.
Well, I like your questions because that's sort of my notes are centered on. So my image myself, I pull into the double lane, I go through the pay station, and I think David, you said if I wanted to only vacuum, I could. So is that true? I can just pull off into that parking lot, or is that an option at all? Like you got that little driveway to the right of the tunnel, or is it just all you paying for car wash?
Typically, what you'll see with those escape lanes are trucks that are too big that can't get into the tunnel, or you have an emergency and you get paged to go to the hospital, you gotta peel out of there, you don't have time to go through. That's just giving someone access to leave.
Okay, so I go through the pay station, I go through the tunnel, I come out the tunnel, and then I button hook into those parking spaces if I want to vacuum. So I count 26 parking spaces. So I pull in, but I'm also it's a two-way traffic. So traffic's coming into the parking and then traffic is coming out. That's how I see that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then I pull out of the parking space after vacuum, I make a right-hand turn and I go out and I pull forward. And if you can just drop that screen down a little bit, David, please. Okay, I pull forward and I want to go left, but as a veteran of old Highway 58, that light is stubbornly long. I want to pull out, so I'm stuck at that top black arrow and just traffic stacked up there. So is for David, does DOT, they make that like right only, or they just make that left? Because you always got a couple cars stacked up there just waiting for minutes, and somebody coming out to want to make a left, then it just causes just a stack. But I mean, does DOT, will they make that right only? Could
Out
they?
here?
Yeah, I mean, no, for that, where that black arrow is.
No, I was.
Right here?
Yeah, no, okay, yeah,
Well, I mean, this is on their property.
yes,
So DOT would have no say,
okay.
if someone got their car washed and decided they want to go through again,
They can never leave.
DOT wouldn't object to it. And I'm sure the owner wouldn't either.
Okay, and then, so that's just a comment, so will DOT do a study, like if they're seeing a lot of traffic coming in, will they adjust that light at all to make it be more
They could.
timely? Because I just, that light is not a friendly light when you're coming out of Tractor Supply, and you're just sitting there, you wanna make a left-hand turn out of there.
I mean, they look at them periodically, and if it looks like there's traffic, it's creating traffic issues. I mean, right now, the bigger issue is the separation distance between the 58 intersection and old 58
Yeah.
isn't far enough to where traffic backs up into Cape Carteret.
No, I know.
So if anything,
I just see people, me, having sat at that light, trying to make that, come up to that intersection, make a left-hand turn to go to Cape Carteret.
Go right, go down and.
Do a U-turn in the suicide
well,
lane.
and that's why ultimately it's going to get relocated, right? Just to
Right.
give
Okay.
greater distance.
Yeah.
All right,
So traffic can move a little more.
If you're a local, you know where to go.
all right, and then, so onto the,
And you wouldn't have to worry about, so keep in mind at this intersection, once that traffic light moves, you won't have to worry about people making a left-hand turn into here. You wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Correct, they'll be doing.
It would
a
only
right
be
turn.
right in only, so they would turn at the light and come around and into the property.
When do you think the intersection change will happen?
The letter that I've seen from DOT has said that it has to change prior to this tract of land right here being developed.
Any idea on that? Okay,
And it may be sooner depending on what use goes in here and here. Now, we know this use will be Grace Church if they continue with their plans. They're the ones who purchased it to build a church right there. I don't think that will warrant a traffic light change because they only meet primarily on Sunday, so low traffic day. So it could vary based on this, but most likely it'll wait until this property is developed.
okay. The if we go back to the drawings you have. To the east side, is the state, they're still gonna keep the buffer of trees between the car wash building? The east side of car wash building and Highway 58, is that buffer of trees still gonna be there, or is it all gonna be gone?
They're there for now and DOT can take them out anytime they want.
Okay.
So there's no guarantee on them.
All right, so then going to the diagram, the architectural diagram, on the brief you gave, the presentation. Okay, so what side, so if I'm looking at this, oh, that was perfect, that one right there, so the top one, that's what's gonna face Highway 58, correct? And then the one bottom is gonna
Cedar Point
face,
Boulevard.
that's, so is that which side is gonna face Cedar Point Boulevard and which side is gonna face 58?
So the top picture that you're looking at there,
Yeah.
that will face Cedar Point Boulevard.
Okay,
And then those side elevations,
uh-huh,
those would face the DOT right away and then Old 58.
so the reason I'm just trying to square with so the bottom right hand, I see that bay door. Is that the bay door that's all the way to the left of the drive? So I'm just trying to.
So I noticed earlier, and I addressed this
Yeah.
when they first came in. Their architect
Yeah.
didn't make a mistake on here.
Uh-huh.
On this bottom left drawing that you see here, you see a single door.
Yeah.
That should be over, it's in the same door location as the one on the right. But everything else, the wall pattern and that single entry door
Yeah.
should be over on the other side where you see the double door.
Yeah, because that's when I look at, so when I look at this, I see everything being opposite.
It's a reverse image.
Yeah,
The side elevations were supposed to be mirrored.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just want to make sure the nicer side is on Old Highway 58. And then the more industrial looking access doors are facing the state highways.
So other than the slant of the roof being backwards, the one on the right-hand side is what would be facing Old 58.
So the right-hand side faces Old Highway 58 then?
You're gonna see this door
Yep,
with a double door and that pattern.
okay. All right. I just want to make sure that the next side.
That's correct.
is
But there's
just-
also that added buffering that we put in front of that tunnel as well with the trees. It's gonna help soften that.
So
So going back to the top, that's facing towards the bank. The top,
The
No,
top
the-
is facing.
The
Cedar
top
Point
would be
Boulevard.
This
facing,
is facing the
no,
bank.
no, at the very top one.
that's facing like Bojangles.
Yeah,
And then this one's facing Tractor Supply.
That's a tunnel.
The tunnel faces the bank.
when you come out the tunnel, you're looking at the bank.
Got it, okay, all right. And then on I'm good.
You know, I had something, I totally forgot. While you're asking questions. It might come to me.
We'll come back here.
It might.
I have no further questions.
I don't have any other questions either. I appreciate the detail and the site plan and the release and the presentation. It's helpful.
Thank you.
I think Michael asked the questions that I was. So
Funny. Something Mike was saying there. On that term, when you're talking about it, and probably DOT will do it. Locally, I know I can make a right turn and work my way around. But if, like Mike said, I'm coming from the beach, I want to get my car washed before I head up wherever. Where do I go if I look out here and it's a busy day? Is there a need for a sign there that goes, hey, make a right, go down here and you can hit 58 north, whatever, to get the hell out of here? Would that, until that road is changed, and I agree with Mike saying, because I've gone down and gotten gas and go, how am I gonna go back home making a right out here?
I don't know which would be worse on a week.
Tell them they could do it or just like
Weekend.
do it.
I mean, to sit through 2 traffic lights and make left-hand turns at signaled intersections. Or go out to VFW road and try to
Make a
turn
left.
left on a busy day.
Hey, I don't know, I'm just,
On a busy summer day,
it's not gonna be
my
good anyway.
preference would be to take the lights
Okay, well, it's not gonna be good.
from a
anyway.
safety standpoint, but yeah, I don't know that I would want
I
to.
mean, locally, I'm not worried, I'll just go through Macon Bay or Marsh Harbor, don't care.
just a curiosity, how many cars an hour can you run through a facility like this?
1 second, I will answer that for you.
We're ready for that one.
No, it wasn't.
I know you were suggesting that there was average of 300 a day,
Correct.
and obviously there's hours there that are.
Nobody's coming at 9 at night.
Yeah, I mean. You're not gonna be as busy in the odd hours
Right.
for sure, but I mean, if you averaged it over what they would be open. You're like right in that 20 to 21 an hour range. So, I mean, and you're stacking and that covers it.
But the facility can handle how many an hour? Or do you, it may not be something you actually.
I wouldn't
know.
want to misrepresent that.
Okay.
I'd wanna get that answer. I can get it for you, but I don't want to misrepresent that. I
So
wasn't expecting the operation.
When it's
Sorry, no,
I apologize.
it's not fair because that's not what we're about tonight, but I would just, because that would explain some of the traffic.
So when it's,
Possible issues, if you're saying you can handle 40 cars an hour, but you're only projecting 30. Traffic's probably not gonna be an issue.
the one in Swansboro does, says 3-minute car wash, they have, let's say 3 cars in the tunnel. So, and that's a rolling 3 cars in there, plus another 10 stacked up, yeah.
You're probably more than that, I think by 30, 50 now, right?
Probably. Not simultaneously.
Sorry. didn't
No,
mean to stop.
that's cool.
Well, there's no public comments tonight. And all we need to do is a recommendation for or against.
We need a consistency statement.
Nope, that's only for text amendments and rezonings.
We just need a motion.
Was there a zoning thing? Wasn't there a zoning thing? I don't know why I said zoning somewhere. Maybe I misread it. I'm thinking. Oh, zoning for.
Oh, they filled out the application on a zoning permit form,
That's one thing.
just for the contact information.
Okay. So we make a motion to approve the commercial site plan for Riptide Car Wash, 1203 Cedar Point, as written or
As presented.
as presented.
There's a motion to approve. Do we have a second? A second, all in favor? It's unanimous, all in favor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving.
I will be here next month. I won't be here the month after that.
Okay.
In case anybody wants to ever kick me off the board, let me know. I'm missing a few.
I do, have questions, but I don't know if this is the form to do it in. So does it matter if you're recording or not?
It's all public record,
So,
it will be on YouTube.
so, heard something about Bridgeview with a camera application that potentially, I haven't seen any documents, but I heard it from somebody in Megan's Bay, that's something that's gonna go potentially extended water, maybe affect the channel that goes, the people been pulling boats into Megan's Bay and Crystal Shores. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, so we received a call earlier, from a neighboring property owner asking about, apparently out here at Bridgeview. They currently have a boat ramp out there, and what they're proposing is to extend further out into the intercoastal waterway with a pier and 9 slips that would come off, kind of angled back a little bit with a little area out front. And the concern was that it would be far enough out to impact the channel and the access for boats trying to get to Megan's Bay
And Crystal Shores.
and Crystal Shores. CAMA, when they approve those permits, that's one of the things that they consider. According to the drawing that Tidewater Jonathan McDaniel did, which the property owner sent to me, basically shows, they show them going right up to the limit of the edge of the channel deep water alignment. So my understanding is that's as far as CAMA lets you go out. So you can't get out into the channel itself, but you can come up to the edge of it, which is what they're proposing to do.
Because I can get in my boat, I can go all the way over here. Now, they have an old area out there where there's a couple of dolphins out there, but because it used to go further out when there was a pier, and they're still there. I don't know if they're going to that or past that. But yeah, I don't even come that close.
So they're proposing going out another 93 feet.
93 feet.
That's a lot.
And
Halfway.
I can still get through there, no problem, but yeah.
Is that something they gotta go through to town for?
No,
Cameron
that's
can
all.
just prove it, right?
Any kind of water development is all regulated by CAMA. We don't have jurisdiction.
I thought it was normally I couldn't go more than 1/3 of the whatever.
So if it's a canal, they can't do that in something as broad as the intercoastal waterway, which is,
Yeah, but that's not gonna
So-
affect the water, but yeah.
well, it is. I mean, the whole thing is considered the intercoastal
Yeah, well,
waterway,
yeah. well.
but where there is a channel, you can't go into the channel bed itself.
Yeah, well, I'm not,
Is that
personally,
officially a channel, or what makes it a channel? It's not like the intercoastal channel, it's,
I think it's just based off of, it's,
yeah,
the
it's
deeper.
deep enough there.
it's, okay.
Even at low tide, I can get to that portion. The hard portion comes up when you go up by the bridge at real low tide. And you come this side of the bridge like I do, or go under the bridge. This side of the bridge gets a little shallow.
Yeah, they're
I can go the other way at
drawing
mid
kind of
tide and get
landslide.
out from my house. To the
They're-
channel
they're
back
drawing
in there.
kind
There's
of-
some deep water back there till you get to one end, then it gets down to a couple feet.
So
Yeah.
will they be able to dock boats on the deep water side and further clog up that channel?
No, so they can't. And I can pass this around if you want to see it. This is what was sent to the property owner.
Bridgeview property owner or
Let me-
somebody else?
Let me just put it up on the screen. Let me send it to myself as an email.
Then I got 2 more questions
She
separate from
texted
this.
it to me.
Are they allowed to build it? Are they gonna be able to start building back there again?
After they get this guy in the court.
Still closed?
They were in the paper that there's some assault cases.
That's still outstanding now to be determined. Now, this particular parcel right here, which is their waterfront parcel, has been exempted, and they are allowed to proceed with development of this particular parcel.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's, yeah,
that
that's
what
why
they-
they're moving forward with this. Well,
Just increase the value of all the other houses, they can't build it.
No, property tax revaluation.
Not mine.
You're selling sidings all
I saw the guy out there, he was in our neighborhood the other day doing the 2027. I talked to him, what are you doing? He goes, I'm doing it 2027. I go, 20, we just got to 2025. Mine went up. But I'm still not where I was in 2005. I'm still
it's like,
250,000 below what I was in 2005.
So,
And everybody was a millionaire on the product.
so it looks like, David, they are on the deep water side.
No, see this right here, edge of channel, deep water alignment,
Mhm,
this kind of dashed line cutting through there.
mhm.
That's what they're claiming to be the channel itself.
Yeah, you know, the only problem I have, the idiot tries to put up a no wake zone sign. I'm gonna zip through there at 40 as fast as I can go.
They can put a sign up.
And they put all the signs they want. They're gonna no wake, I'm gonna zip through there as fast as I can go on my little boat and zip as close as I can to them and stack them up against it.
That's a lot less.
Right, Mayor? That's how you do it.
If you'll go slower, you'll.
Oh, we're being recorded.
So this would be your channel and they would be going past that channel line.
Okay. All right, separate, please remind me, so. So completely separate question, so between a business and residential, is there supposed to be a buffer?
Between business and residential, yes.
Okay, what happens with the business and residential have been there before we upgraded our ordinances? So example would be Busy Bee and in Crystal Shores neighborhood, is there should there be a buffer?
It's pre-existing, non-conforming, predates the ordinance.
Okay,
Now, we do require when there is a change of use on the property, that it be brought into conformity. So if they changed it from Busy Bee and the RV place to an office, tore that down, put an office facility in there, they would have to.
and then separate from that, coyotes. What's being done, like, I mean, I'm hearing,
Shoot them.
I mean, Megan's Bay, dog attacked and killed. Maimed, seriously maimed. They had to be put down. We're having engagements, Crystal Shores. I mean, is there anything
I
that?
don't know what happened.
So that's not planning and zoning
I
related
know, I
issues.
just-
That'd be something for the
No,
board.
just run out. When I go by on the boat, they come run out.
I talk off, I
Yeah.
use that about you on that offline. Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Can you actually shoot them? In my backyard, I can shoot them right there on my property.
They've not yet attacked a child.
So
Or is that illegal to discharge
How about we-
equipment?
my understanding is,
Stop the recording and we can go.
we do have an exception under our ordinances for discharge of firearms within town limits for wildlife that does damage or harm individuals or property. And my understanding is if they're creating imminent damage, that you can dispose of them under state law without any kind of additional permit. If it's something that is an ongoing issue and it's not immediate in the moment, they're not coming after you. I think you have to get a depredation permit, but that'd be something.
So a rabid fox I can shoot, like the one that bit my wife 15 years ago.
Yep.
But I didn't have a shotgun. If I do, I probably shot her.
If it's self-defense, you can.
But a coyote in my backyard, just looking at me, I can't shoot it.
Does it scare you?
Well, if I have my wife scream, I can shoot it from the corner. Okay, just check.
So my understanding is that one was just recently disposed of that had jumped somebody's fence where they had chickens.
Oh,
Where was this at?
who would have chickens?
Which neighborhood? Just
Which neighborhood
I
would
don't
have
know.
chickens?
I don't know, it was the deputy called just to make sure that we knew that we might hear the discharge of a firearm.
So it's stuck in their yard.
Well, it got in and then got back out. But the fact that it knew it was there, is likely to come back, so.
There you go.
Hmm.
Somebody comes in, you can shoot them. They'll have to come back. Does that apply to humans or just animals?
I have no further questions. For the planning board.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Please, I will second. We are adjourned.
Never mind.
Okay.
Post adjournment.
Okay,
Comment, I was going to update you on something.
which can be done post adjournment.
There is a number of bills that are pending in the state legislature right now that will significantly impact local government if they are adopted. Some of the things we talked about last year, talking about whether or not you can put an accessory dwelling unit on every single residential parcel in the state of North Carolina, including in a front yard. there's proposed language to do away with all parking requirements from a zoning standpoint, so we cannot regulate the size of parking spaces or the number of parking spaces on any parcel. There's recommendations to do away with ETJs across the state, which you may or may not have seen. The board is pursuing doing away with our ETJ, just because it doesn't provide us any real benefit. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipeline. They are looking to repeal the one that I brought up to you last year, the end of last year, where it prohibits zoning amendments or zoning changes that would result in downzoning unless it has the consent of the affected property owners. Looks like that's going to go away, most likely so. But there are a lot of things coming up. So as they get adopted, we may have to make changes to our ordinances to comply with those state laws.
With the outbuildings, does that affect if the HOA has a limit on that, or that's regardless?
It's outside, it only affects local government authority. So if there's an HOA restrictive covenant that prohibits something, this would not trump that.
Any more on the hospital stuff over here?
So they're still working through making changes to their overall plan and layout. They had hoped to add something to me for this meeting. So no, should be a couple months, within a couple months.
Was there any tax revenue from the ETJ?
No, we do not receive. The only revenue that we would receive is if we issue them a zoning permit. They pay the $50 fee, or a floodplain development permit of $100. That's the only revenue we get at all.
Did they get garbage?
No,
Okay.
they do not receive any other town services other
It's
than
just of the name.
the planning and zoning jurisdiction. We don't even have nuisance abatement authority out there, so high grass and junk vehicles, we can't do anything about in ETJ. Just the use of property and the construction of structures on the property. That's all.
We're already good, so now we're hanging out.
Re-adjournment.
I didn't.
We're there.
We-